So thank you all for joining us in honoring my father's life. Dad truly was a Renaissance man and a man of many passions. His first purchase when he came to the United States was a pair of aviator sunglasses and a sports car, truly embodying the American spirit. Dad had an incredible curiosity and thirst for life. He took up windsurfing, skiing, scuba diving, horseback riding, fly fishing, and kayaking, all on his own. He even took flight lessons up until he read the fine print of his life insurance policy. One day in Michigan, he saw a guy kayaking on the lake and went over and asked him what that was. And sure enough, as soon as we came home, he said to me, "Harsha, get in the truck." And we came home with 2 kayaks that day. He wanted to finish our basement and barn himself to save money, but in reality, he just wanted to go to Home Depot and purchase every single tool they sold. When he did something, he went all in. Most of us like to drink wine, but that wasn't enough for him. He had to take winemaking classes and make his own wine. My father always managed to make time for his children. He never let us watch television. Instead, he taught us how to work with our hands, seek adventure, and cultivate hobbies. He made sure we saw the world and skied every mountain peak. When he knew I had a passion for cars, he purchased a vintage car for us to work on together, and he even went as far as enrolling in a local community college to take mechanics courses. My dad could also be daunting at times. When I took Econ 101 in college, he read The Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith and started quizzing me on economic policy. I was only a freshman. When I chose to pursue emergency medicine, he gave me a lecture on the history of the field and made me practice intubations in the SIV lab for hours. It's hard to believe he had time for all these activities while still maintaining a full-time job. He had an illustrious 39-year career as an anesthesiologist, and he was most proud to be a physician and deliver exceptional care to the South End community. I had a brief moment when I did research at his hospital and got to see the impact he had on the staff. To say he was revered is an understatement. When he came to visit me in Philadelphia, he insisted on visiting the nation's first hospital and seeing the first operating theater. His appetite for learning was insatiable. You could always find him at night with a book in his hands. He has a library full of books ranging from every world religion to ancient civilizations to philosophy, and most notably, Complete Plans for Building Horse Barns Big and Small, the 2nd edition. Speaking of barns, when he decided to build one, he drove around town just looking for barns that he liked. And he went and knocked on random people's doors and just asked, "Can I check out your barn?" Over time, they became friends, and then they came to see our barn when it was being built. So yeah, my dad had barn friends. My father never forgot his humble beginnings and always wanted to improve the lives of the people around him. He loved to teach medical students, and he even built a school for the underprivileged in his village in India. He had an incredible willpower. After we forced him to retire at the age of 72, he became chairman of the Balaji Temple, where he actually worked more hours than he ever worked as a physician. He amassed a stockpile of journals documenting every detail of the temple, and he remained 100% committed to all of the temple daily activities. Even during his battle with a pulmonary condition, he remained relentless, attending meetings, closing business deals, all until his last day. The man refused to retire. When I look across the room today, it's visible to me the impact he had on our community and the many lives that he touched. He left an indelible mark on so many people here today, and I know his legacy will be everlasting. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Harsha. I'll be more composed now. He gave me inspiration. His proudest moment was when he joined you the white coat ceremony. He was so proud that he was able to give him the white coat.
What about me?
He didn't mention that. You want me to ask him? when I see him next. Medical college days were fun. Oh, what a fun it was. Sam wasn't very studious, but he scored high in the exams. I don't know why and how. We didn't copy. It wasn't fashionable in those days. He was very smart. So finally made it through MBBS. He is very easy to please and make him laugh. If somebody makes a little sound, he would burst out in laughter. He used to have this thick mustache even in medical school, and all the professors used to kick him out because he was the one making the noise. But he was so humble and friendly to everyone. After we came to the United States on the same day, he went to Boston and I went to New York. And we started our residencies, myself in Chicago and him in Indianapolis. And we met. It's not like friends that call each other once every month or every 6 months. We met so often. Our kids grew up together. Our kids are like his, and his kids are like ours. We have a couple of other classmates here. They were like us too. And it's a bond that grew over 58 years. And it's never been stronger. And he started practice at IU first. He wanted to write a book before he went into private practice. And did he do that? He wrote 2 chapters in a textbook of anesthesia about coexisting diseases, about geriatric practice and some other illnesses that are common to anesthesia. And he was a connoisseur of anesthesia. He knows physiology, left to right, right to left, up and down. And he would teach anybody about anesthesia, no fear at all. And he joined Memorial Hospital in South Bend in 1983. And he developed so many friends during the practice for 40 long years. And I'm going to call upon 2 of his colleagues, Dr. Scott Thomas, who is a surgeon, and Dr. Dave Saboto. They want to do a joint presentation, and so I would invite both of them. They know about him more than anyone else in this room because day in and day out they work with him and his skills and his expertise. Please.
Thank you. My name is Scott Thomas. I'm a general surgeon at Memorial Hospital. This is my colleague and partner, Dave Sabato, who's one of our ENT surgeons, and we've been privileged to be here to say a few words about Sam, our beloved Sam. Thank you, Manjula and Hersha Swapna, for allowing us to say things about this incredible individual who impacted our lives. Sam, we worked in an environment that's very unique in the operating room, and the operating room was special for us because that's where we got to know Sam, not only as a professional, as a colleague, but as a friend over the drape, so to speak, because there was always drapes and we would talk to each other over drapes. And that's how we learned to know each other. And Sam was always interested in us, just not just about being a surgeon, but about being a person, what our families were like, what was happening with our children, what was happening in his life, and we grew together. And everybody knew that Sam had an amazing passion and enthusiasm. We knew that, but he brought a presence to the operating room. And when he came into the operating room, you felt that capable person, the commitment, the knowledge was there. And his patients were so comfortable because he knew that he had the situation under control, and so did the patients. But you had to be committed in Sam's room. And if you weren't committed, you were going to hear about it from Sam. So you better be on your toes because he cared about his patients like they were his family. And he cared about the staff in the room. He cared about the nurses. He cared about the techs. And he cared about the surgeons. He cared about everybody. But he made sure that he was there and he was in charge. And he was the consummate educator as well. As you pointed out, he taught at IU School of Medicine. And not only was he a great anesthesiologist, but he was this teacher and also a historian. I didn't realize what a historian your father was. What an amazing historian was, because I'd be in the middle of an elective operation and Sam would say to me, "You know who invented that operation?" And then he would start talking about the year that the surgery was done, what hospital it was done in, and the techniques that are carried through to today. And I was like, okay, this guy knows a lot. And And that was the kind of person he was. But Sam was also tough at times. And I will tell you, early on in my career, we had a bad trauma. A young man was hit by a car, and he was dying. And I was working in the abdomen, and things were going pretty roughly. And I went over to the drape, and I said, Sam, how are the vital signs? And he goes, you just do your job and let me do my job. And we'll be just fine. And you know what? We were just fine. Everything was great. Sam was the consummate wingman. And if you were going to go down with the ship, you're going with Sam. Sam will always go with you, and you'll go with Sam. He was the guy I wanted to be with in the catastrophic situations because he always brought calm to the operating room. And to the personal side of it, and this is where Dave and I come in, and colleagues, we were farmers. Sam loved farming. Dave loves farming. I think you guys like getting your hands dirtier than I did. But I had the opportunity to spend some time with him outside the hospital, and one time talking about barns, Hersha. I was building a barn, and Sam said, come over and look at my barn. So I said, yeah, and I walked over, and Sam was so proud. He was beaming. And I'm looking at an area in his barn where he's got all of his tools, his books, all of his personality, his fireplace. This was where Sam did his best to recharge and get back to work. It was Sam's personality. It was all Sam. But one of the things that really impacted me the most, and you talked about the car that you built with your dad, and he said, come over here, I want to show you the car that Hersha and I are building. And, you know, he walked with such enthusiasm, and we're looking at the car, and he's showing me every detail of what this build was going to be about. But the most important thing to Sam was really not about the car. It was about the fact that he was building it with you, because he cared so much about his family, and that's all that ever mattered to Sam. And that life that Manjula and Sam put together with these beautiful children and your grandchildren, there was nothing more important to him in life than that. And I know that you will carry your father's spirit with you all of your life, and all of us are gifted with that as well. And we'll all be left with something in life from Sam. And for me, I think you said it just how I would. He was a Renaissance man. He was a man who loved life, who loved learning, and more importantly, he loved people. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. I'm Dave Spotto, and I'm a somewhat retired ENT. I practiced with Sam for probably, we came down in '84, so probably almost all of his career as well. I'm going to tell two stories. One is going to be about work, the other is going to be about wine. But as I've been doing this locum tenens work, I found that South Bend is kind of unique in terms of how difficult it is to work here. I mean, you cannot be looking for low-hanging fruit. You got to be willing to take care of sick people, injured people at all hours of the night. If you don't want to take call, you come to the wrong place. You want to make a lot of money, you're at the wrong place. In that environment, you need to have a team that sticks with you. Scott alluded to that. When it came to anesthesia, ENT is our number one concern. Can they get the tube in? Do we need to do a crash trach? That kind of stuff. So to have even a few people like Sam, especially in anesthesia, was a relief. When I do locums work, I hold my breath until I see how it goes. I've done 2 trachs, thank God none emergently. The staff was barely prepared to do it, so it was a worrisome thing. But I want to tell a story. Swap me where, there you go, that's it, yeah. So this story is about a case that Sam and I did about 25 years ago. I was on call, Sam was on call. We had a call from the PEDS ICU, and they said, we've got a kid up here with asthma, 16 months old, but we did a CT because the meds weren't working, and there's some sort of mass on the supraglottic larynx. Oh, okay. I call Sam up, I said, listen, I'll get the trach set, let's see if we can get it to Saturday morning. Let's see if we can get this kid to Saturday morning. Bring the staff in and see what we can do. So the kid comes in, he's able to bag, the kid goes to sleep. I inject the neck, ready to do a trach on a 16-month-old, which can always be a daunting thing. And Sam puts in a regular laryngoscope, no fiber optic stuff back then. He said, Dave, come get a look at this. Basically, there was solid mass of papilloma, completely occluding the airway. And I said, try to get the tube in anyway. So he was able to get the tube in, and then we were able to do a trach back then. That was kind of which I had to do because the kids just didn't have a stable airway. The problem was really part social in that his mother was 16, and in the postoperative period, she would bring this boy in because he couldn't breathe. He couldn't breathe because the papilloma was occluding the end of the tracheostomy tube. So getting back to working in South Bend, I called the guys down at IU and I said, hey, listen, can I send this kid down there? And they said, don't send him down here. I'm like, why? I says, well, it's totally impractical. You're 3 hours away. There was no bypass or anything like that. But call this guy in San Diego, by the way. They have some new medication coming out. And I'd tried some stuff before and I was like, this kid's going to die, you know? So I called the guy in San Diego and said, this new drug made by this startup company called Gilead Sciences. I've never heard of them before. See if your hospital call them and get this medication called Cidofovir. He says, like penicillin for this disease. So Memorial bought $617 for 10 cc's of this stuff, and we threw most of it out because it had to be diluted. It had to be done by intralesional injection. In other words, kids had to be asleep, and then after we cleared the papilloma, we could inject with this medication. It took about 2 months, and lo and behold, it got better, but the trachea it was basically obstructed. And it's hard to shoot a laser down there with the open cord, so I called the guys in San Diego, and they said, is your anesthesiologist any good? And I go, yeah. He says, well, here's you got to take a ventilating bronchoscope and a telescope, so you can see what you're doing, and put a GI sclerosing needle down the port, and you want to impale the wall of the trachea. And I go, oh, I haven't done that before. And so that's what we did. And the trachea cleared up. We were able to get the tube out, and the boy's done well. We haven't seen him in probably 10 years, so we think he's doing well. But it required, number one, a facility that's willing to support you in that situation, and Memorial's willing to do it, and skilled people that were willing to stick it out. And we had a series of those, and it was basically, the place I work at now, they would just refer. They wouldn't even think about it. Kid, we don't see kids. Bad airway, no, we don't take care of bad airways. Not here. The other story is about wine. So Sam had a very kind of obsessive compulsive personality. So when he became interested in wine, he knew like about everything about it. But he wanted to plant his own vineyard. So he took a course in 1997 at Michigan State University Agricultural Extension in Benton Harbor. And he basically, I think, he didn't have a place for a vineyard, but he wanted to give it a shot. But I think his wife realized it would have become even a worse obsession. She said, you got to stop this. So he gave us the syllabus. 10 years later, Scott and I took that course, same course, with his syllabus. But next year after that, we took something called Winery Establishment. With 6 days of training, 2008, we planted 4,000 plants, and Sam was there planting those by hand, and he loved it. He was kind of a Renaissance guy. He loved that. And so when we were doing case, we'd always talk about how the grapes doing, and the grapes, if they were doing great, Scott and I'd be retired. It's a labor of love to some extent. But I always would say to Sam, you've been a great friend, a great colleague, and just a wonderful co-conspirator in viticulture. I hope when you pass, you've got a glass of Penfolds Grange in your hand, because we'd love to toast you. So we miss him a lot. He was in so many ways attached to us, not just work. So he's one of the few that we would miss a heck of a lot, and we will miss a heck of a lot. So.
Thank you, Scott and Dave. Sam served as chairman of the Department of Anesthesia for several years. And you can see all his laurels and testimonials out in the hallway. Someone was talking about the barn. It's not a barn. It's a museum. It has everything in it. And it's like perfect. And it would take an engineer, a structural engineer, to design anything like that. And he did it all by himself. And you should not go leave the barn without stopping at the man cove. He has all kinds of animals and cigar smoking places and horses. He loved horses. He wanted to start horses because he bought the house on a bridle path. So he said, I can roam around the neighborhood on my horse. I think Manju put a kibosh on that too. And he loved all kinds of sports. I think Harsh already mentioned his passion for all kinds of things, including building the cars. I invite one of Sam's good friends. He's a professor of data analysis and AI management at Roosevelt University. Ganesh Vaidyanathan and Meena are great friends of the family for many, many years. And he can spend hours talking to them. And he never gets tired of talking to people and telling them all kinds of... Ganesh, please come. Ganesh Vaidyanathan.
Om Triambagam Vijamahe Sragantim Pushtivardanam Urvarham Eva Bandhanat Mustirmukshiyamam Amritat. So this mantra is to offer protection from negative influences, promote spiritual growth, and facilitate a positive outlook on life, including facing death in calmness. And that's the only religious thing I'm going to talk about today. Friends, one winter I wasn't at home. It was snowing quite a lot. And my wife Meena was brushing off the snow in the front porch. Sam might have seen her. And about half an hour later, he came back with his truck, cleaned up the entire driveway, and then rang the bell and told Meena, if Ganesh is away, just call me, we'll come and clean it. You know, I shared this simple event to attest a fine point. Sam lived his life with generosity and genuine care for others. Friends, we have gathered today to honor the life of Dr. Venkata Musunuru, Sam, as he is called. Our dear friend who hated drama with the exception of his passion for Clint Eastwood movies. That's that drama, he loved it. Sam didn't sugarcoat anything. I think all of you know this. If you ask for advice, which I asked him a lot, I got it raw, unfiltered, just like the grappa wine. But though it may not be distilled, it will be well received by all. Well, he was always right, and that's the reason I see so many people here. Sam was a pillar and a strength to our greater community, South Bend community. He stood by us through good and bad times, giving us confidence in life. He simply showered up with a warm smile. He showed up with a warm smile and a warmer heart. For instance, whenever a community member is in a hospital, and if he comes to know about it, he would make a point to visit them to provide positive energy, positive vibrations. I was one of the few who got that without even telling him. He just came. He threw open his home to everyone, he and his wife Manjula, to everyone in the community, to celebrate with bestowed generosity, with his kind words and wonderful deeds, and of course, with a glass of wine. Now, I gotta talk about wine. When I think of Sam, I have to talk about wine. And believe me, I do that every weekend. Sam believed that the wine was not a drink, it's philosophy, it's a lifestyle. Before I met Sam, I thought notes were something that I used to write in my classroom. And body was something that I saw with pretty girls around me. But it was not so. I remember vividly, it's almost like yesterday. On one of the first meets in his home, he handed me a glass of Cabernet Sauvignon, looked me dead in the eye, and said, "Sip it, Ganesh, don't chug it. This is not beer." That glass changed my life. Well, it ruined all the $5 wines that I used to buy. I learned a lot about history, philosophy, and above all, his keen insight into politics. He was an excellent teacher on those topics. Well, I got an opportunity in the end to teach him something. He was in the hospital and he called me one day and said, "You know what? I have my future in-laws coming to my house and I want to talk in Tamil." He didn't know Tamil and I'm a Tamilian, so I want to talk in Tamil. "Can you translate something for me?" So I said, "Sure." So he sent me a fantastic poem, a poetry, to welcome his future in-laws. I translated that. So I thought, okay, he's going to read this in English, so I kept quiet. 2 days later, he calls me and he says, "I want to read this in Tamil." So he started reading it in Tamil. This happened for 4 days. At the 4th day, believe me, he was a Pakka Tamilian. He spoke Tamil so well. Amazing. It was absolutely amazing. So, in honor of Sam, let's skip the cliches. He came, he saw, and he told everyone exactly what he thought. And I can see now, he has touched a huge group of people here who actually love him for art. Cheers to your true original, my friend. Sharp wit, absolutely no nonsense, and a big heart. I want to just leave this with one small phrase. May heaven have an endless cellar, and may the angels know how to decant the way you like it. So.
Thank you, Ganesh. Yeah, he loved Western movies. McKenna's Gold was our favorite. Was playing in Vijayawada in 70mm theater for the first time. I think we went 3 or 4 times skipping class to Vijayawada to watch that movie. He can recall every single shot in that movie anytime. He loved history and geopolitics. I loved traveling, of course, and Manjula and him traveled a lot. We used to be jealous because they just got married, they had plenty of time, no kids, no expenses, so they used to travel a lot. And we had 2 kids to check along, and we had to plan our trips around their holidays. But that was great, and he would come back and tell me every detailed part of the trip. In fact, my wife and I went to Portugal recently, and we were there, and I called him and said, "How are you doing?" He asked me about different sites in Portugal. And I said, "When did you go to Portugal?" He said, "I didn't." We were shocked. We were there, we didn't know the details that we're looking at, and he was telling us all about history, geography, and all the nice buildings that we should go and see. He's a fascinating guy. He didn't like group travels, that's the reason. He said, they'll take us to shopping malls and museums and this and that stuff. I want to see the real culture, real history, real geography. So he would go by himself, and Manjula, they planned their own trips and went as long as they could travel. Fiddler on the Roof. He loved that story. And he told us so many times, even as long as recently as about a week ago, in the bed with oxygen, he would recite the whole story and explain to us what is behind the story, what it meant to him. I request another friend of his, Sri Rajiv Chowdhury. He's a retired partner at Crow accounting firm. And someone doesn't like numbers. He doesn't like investments. He has fixed ideas. That's fixed deposits. Nothing else. He wants to be comfortable and sleep well at night. Rajiv, please.
Well, as you introduced me as Raj Chaudhary, a friend and a neighbor of Sam and Manjula for almost 40-some years. Sam was a man defined by his spontaneity, his deep love of life, his loyalty as a friend. And for those of us lucky enough, it's been brought up a few times, to share a glass with him, his love of really good red wine. As an anesthesiologist in the operating room, he never did that to me, but he brought calm and skill to some of the life's most critical moments. But outside the hospital walls, he brought light, laughter, and that spark of positivity. He was one of the people that stopped by to bring a spark to Bunty in my life at the Memorial Hospital after I went through my open heart surgery 7 years ago. He didn't just live life, I think he loved life, fully and deeply. Sam and Manjula enjoying throwing great parties, whether it was sitting in their backyard by the pool or a slow evening by the fireplace inside the house. He was always fully present. Our friendship grew more as Swapna and Harsha started to play with our kids, Rohit and Nina. Kids spent a lot of time together swimming in their pool and playing with their dogs, Bruno and Lucky. Nina and Rohit were scared of dogs in general, but Sam and Manjula took the time to make them comfortable with the dogs. And on Sam and Manjula's encouragement, guess what? We brought a beagle into our house as well. Our friendship grew much more beyond our children into our prospective extended families and friends. It is said that marriages are made in heaven, but I believe this applies to friendships as well. As luck would have it, both the boys, Harsha and Rohit, settled in Chicago, and the girls, Swapna and Nina, settled in Indianapolis with 2 kids each, our lovely grandkids. We used to wait to open a bottle of wine for each other because we knew each other's tastes. With Sam, it was never just a drink. It was a doorway to connection, with shared stories about our travels to India and other places, and a bit of politics at times. And for him, one of the greatest joys was sharing a bottle of red wine with the people he loved. I think we've heard that theme multiple times already. But what so many of us will remember most is he was a true friend. Kind of friend who didn't keep score, didn't judge. He was steady and loyal. Sam listened, and he really listened. And he made you feel welcome. When he wanted to get his point across to me, he would tap his hand on my shoulder and address me as my friend. And that was a very common way of addressing all his friends. Today, we grieve, but we also celebrate. We celebrate the man who embraced life with open arms and an open bottle, who taught us who taught us to say yes more often, to laugh louder, and to love the people in our lives. It really matters, because it does. So tonight, or someday soon, pour a glass of red in his honor, tell a story, make someone laugh, be spontaneous, love life, and above all, be that kind of friend. That's what he gave to us, and that's what we can give to each other.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Rajiv. Another, excuse me. Now I look better on TV. Thank you, Rajiv. Another friend of his that's very close to him and his wife, they spend a lot of time together, and he taught him how to build his house. Prashant Kamath, he teaches chemistry at Notre Dame. His wife also works at Notre Dame, so they're very close to his heart. Please come over. He associates with Notre Dame like he went to that school. He's passionate about Notre Dame. Thank you.
Manjula, Harsha, Sam, Shakti, Brian, and all extended Musunuru family, and all the dear friends. Today we gather to remember and honor Dr. Sam Musunuru, was far more than a friend. Sam was a constant presence, a source of knowledge, wisdom, and unwavering support in our lives. His passing leaves a void that words can scarcely fill, but his memory, so vivid, so full of life, remains deeply etched in our hearts. Sam touched every one of us in unique and meaningful ways, a testament to the profound and versatile impact he made in our lives. Everyone has one special story to tell, and we heard already few, and we are going to hear more. And last few days, again, with my wife or with friends, we have always been telling new stories. So this is how he impacted most of us. From the moment we met Sam and Manjula, we were struck by their warmth, generosity, and open-hearted friendship. We cherished our times together, especially the relaxed and joyful weekends spent dining at local restaurants, at each other's houses, celebrating so many milestones and creating happy memories, simple moments that now feel immeasurably precious. For me personally, Sam became a big brother, someone I looked up to for advice, for his guidance and steady friendship. We shared countless memorable moments together, whether it was gardening, carpentry, or kayaking. The only thing I didn't join him was in skiing, which I really repent. Sam was always there with patience, giving a practical tip or giving a helping hand. And of course, I can't forget his unforgettable introduction to wine selection. Again, every story has a wine, but that is one, he made us more comfortable and tell us a lot of stories to share. And this is only one of the many passions he so warmly shared. Sam had a remarkable gift for bringing people together. He often said, "We are who our friends are made of," a reflection of his deep belief that our character is shaped by the company we keep. For Sam, choosing friends with strong values wasn't just wise, it was essential. He has a very way of lighting up a room, whether through a captivating story, often laced with historical insights, or simply by offering a glass of wine and a warm, cheerful conversation. One of Sam's most treasured qualities was his unwavering integrity. He held confidentiality and trust as sacred, making those around him feel safe, respected, and valued. He enriched lives through kindness, humor, and quiet wisdom. And again, a favorite reference of his was Fiddler on the Roof, a story we heard just 2 weeks back. Which he deeply admired for its message of love expressed through hard work and compassion. So that became a model for him. That was Sam, steadfast, generous, and full of heart. Though our hearts are heavy, we find comfort in the enduring legacy Sam leaves behind. We will carry him with us in our memories, in the values he embodied, and in the love we extend to others in his name. Goodbye for now, Sam. You will always be with us in our hearts and in our stories and in the quiet moments when we miss you the most. We are deeply grateful for every memory, every love, every lesson that you share with us. Thank you for everything, Sam. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Sam has a passion for perfection. There's only one person on this earth that's perfect in his eyes. That's his little Chitti Talli. In English, it means my little mother. So I'll invite his Chitti Talli, Swapna Musunuru Eisinger. Say a few words, Brian.
Thanks, Anthony. Well, at least I'm perfect, because apparently only the second proud moment of his life was when I got my white coat, which incidentally was before Harsha's, but that's neither here nor there, Dad. I want to thank everyone for coming today to honor Dad. There's a lot to say about him. He was quite the character, very hardworking, a loyal friend to many, an excellent host, a great athlete, fantastic physician. You've heard all the stories. The only time he ever sat still was to read nonfiction history books or pore over architecture plans. Growing up with him as a dad, we were always in go mode. I remember that Dad would frequently tell us, people only need 7 hours of sleep max to function. That's not true, especially for a child. It's not true. But that's what he just told us the whole time. And he was disappointed whenever Harsha and I would sleep in, which was like not even sleeping in by his standards. And then by the time we would get up on the weekend, he had already mowed 5 acres of the yard or completed 10 tasks and was like, finally, you're up. And we're like, okay, sorry, Dad. He was always hustling. His idea of dad and daughter bonding time was when he made me assist him plant like 1 million trees along the entire periphery of the 10-acre property and said it was good character building. I look at those trees now. They're over 20 feet high. They're beautiful. And when we planted them, they were shorter than Dad. And he's right. There was character building. His work ethic extended to his hobbies. Harsha and I are both avid skiers, and it's all thanks to Dad. But it came with some rigorous curriculum. You know, he would buy us lift tickets for $30 or whatever they were at the time, and he would tell us that we therefore needed to complete 30 runs before the end of the day to get our money's worth from the lift ticket. And then half of those would need to be done before we were able to even stop and eat. And then, even when we were on vacation and after skiing all day, he would expect us to be up the next morning and ready after 7 hours of sleep to do it again. So boot camp is what we called it. Interestingly, fast forward a few decades, and Harsha and I have literally turned into the same person. We do the same thing to kids. Passed on, for sure. And we actually omit the lunch break now, so maybe it's gotten worse. Dad was also an incredible host. So many of us have memories of him drinking wine, Cabernet, of course, on the patio or sitting around the dining table, chatting. Dad and Mom both had a way of making our house a destination. It was a place that I was able to bring my friends from high school, college, med school, residency, even my current friends from Indianapolis. So many people today even came to visit for that reason. Everyone has cool parents, but I always felt like I had the coolest. My dad would always welcome anyone I brought home with welcome arms, offer them a glass of wine and a meal. He would laugh, he would joke, he would impart his old man wisdom, but still joke like a peer with us. Dad was a practicing anesthesiologist for almost 40 years. He took great pride in his job and undoubtedly helped influence Harsha and I follow his path into medicine. It's interesting because of a man of medicine, Dad would never actually use any medicine at home. He was the ultimate tough guy, our own Clint Eastwood or Indiana Jones. I remember anytime Harsha and I would get a cut or a scrape, he would say, tough it out, blow on it, it'll go away. Of course, if a friend came over and they got something like a cut or a scratch, then suddenly Dr. Musunuru came out. Let me give you some antibiotic ointment. Let me give you a Band-Aid. Me and Harsha would be like, what the heck? What about us? We never got a Band-Aid. Of course, when Dad got a cut, that was a new level. He would literally just pour whiskey on it. That's the only reason we had whiskey at our house. Use it as an antiseptic, as opposed to buying like alcohol at the drugstore like a normal person would. Harsha and I we would tell him we had first aid kits, but he would just grin, he would just laugh. He like knew what he was doing. This true tough guy. But the tough guy was just an exterior, because the second Harsha and I would actually be in any distress, no one took it harder than Dad. He was always the first person there to help us. Dad, as people have mentioned, was a true Renaissance man. As an immigrant from India, he grew up on a farm, and what he was able to build and accomplish here is truly impressive. The picture on the display at the entry is always how I will remember him. The most warm smile, the ultimate host, my Indiana Jones welcoming me home with a glass of wine. I'll miss him. One more thing before I finish here, and I add one last thing. Dad was always very big on acknowledgments. He would literally probably thank our plumber if he could have the chance to. And I want to acknowledge all of the love and support we've received from so many friends and family during these past few months. The Yellow Earthies, Vaidyanathan's comments, I mean, so many others, you know who you are. But I want to take a moment to specifically acknowledge two people. Vinod Uncle and Ruta Auntie, they've been a rock for us during these last few very difficult months. And even prior to that, when Dad originally got sick, and words cannot describe how much they've done for our family, from simple things like food and errands to helping coordinate medical care. It was difficult for Dad to talk the last few months, and Vinod Uncle came every single day and sat with my dad in silence, which makes sense because Vinod Uncle does not like to talk, and frequently Dad does not either. And the two of them probably communicated more with mutual love and respect in their moments of silence than most would in an hour of words. My father went peacefully with my mom and my brother by his side, and Uncle was there too till the very last breath, patting his head, and there are no words to describe how much it meant to our whole family for you to be there for us during that time. I lastly just want to acknowledge my brother Harsha and my mom. They say a man's family is a reflection of himself. And Dad is the greatest son and wife in the world. The amount of time and care they gave to him all the way till the end was something else. It can't be repeated. He was taken too soon, but really, truly, the only reason why I even had any extra time with them at all was because of the two of them. It was only because of the two of them. And Dad is terrible at communication unless he's telling you what to do. So I know if he could have actually said it properly, he would have voiced again how proud he is of his son. Proudest moment that you got the white coat. Again, not me. And how much he loves his wife and how appreciative he was of both of them. And I know I'm very, very proud of both of you. Thankful for both of you as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Swapna. You mentioned friendship. He's a person that would give unconditional friendship if he likes somebody. We have celebrated 38 uninterrupted Thanksgivings since we came to this country. He and two of our other friends' families, and our children and grandchildren. And Swapna mentioned Ruta and Vinod. They are their best friends. They're more than friends. They're part of the family. Akash and Prithvi, Ruvi. Vinod, Akash and Ruvi are more than friends. They're just family. Vinod worked 2 days to get the slides and the videos and all these done. Non-stop. He didn't get out of the chair. I was going there to literally pick him up off the chair and walk for 5 minutes. But he wouldn't give up until we got the DVDs running with the slides. So I requested Ruta Gandhi. She's an allergist and an immunologist. And more than that, Vinod, you can come too. No extra charge. They're great friends, and we have come to know of them through Musunuru's, and we're delighted to be associated with you.
Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for thanking us, but it was absolutely not taken well because you guys are part of us and we are part of you. No thanks. Waving goodbye is never easy, especially to a genuine well-wisher friend who was larger than a life and an honest individual to the bone. What Sam was inside was Sam outside. What Sam was outside, he was inside. There was no hypocrisy, no show-off. That was the most comforting thing for me and my husband, to be around him. And Manjula also is included in it. For me, Sam and Manjula are synonymous in most of the things because they just worked as a unit. Vinod met Sam, who was, of course, an anesthesiologist, as you know, at work in 1990-91. It followed with meeting with Manjula same year. I and Manjula, we stuck together just like a best friends from the first time we met. At that time, what stuck to us was the affectionate, sincere nature and generosity in them. My children took to Sam Uncle instantly. His knowledge in various life skills, some of the things what I say you have probably heard already, but I have to say. His knowledge is in various life skills, medicine, various sports, home construction, Indian and world history was immense. And he seems to share that readily with children. My son, if you ask him, he will say that there are so many life skills he learned from Sammy. For him, it was like a godfather because he taught him so many things. He always made us feel special, and that continued till end. Even during his illness, he embraced us the way we were, good, bad, ugly. He liked that movie, by the way, a lot too, because it was Clint Eastwood. That faith in us actually brought us closer. He spoke his heart when needed to, otherwise, he was very kind. Only when I was naughty, he would say, Ruta, I don't think this is correct. You should give Vinod a break. That's how he would tell me. The one thing what Sapna already said is, Vinod and he had a silent interaction that would last for 10 minutes to even 1 hour. I never understood what was happening. I would be with Manjula, and we had our verbal communication going on the other side. And I asked Sam one day, I said, Sam, you guys don't talk. You are on your computer, he's on his cell phone, but you seem to be like saying same thing. And he says, that is what it is, that we don't have to talk to communicate our heart. We know each other's heart. And we have lost that brother who believed in us, who believed in him. He so good in him, I'm sorry to say, but in 44 years of marriage, what I did not see, he saw all those things in him, and he made me aware. For some reason, my silly jokes always brought smile on his face. I really feel if I would ever have been a stand-up comedian, probably at least I would have had one spectator, one person coming, and that would have been Sam. Even at the height of the illness, he had a smile and he had a laughter. Just that he wanted to make people happy. When my husband had a stroke several years ago, at that time COVID was going on, Sam and Manjula came to know. They knew that they won't be able to go and see him in the hospital. He could have pushed to see him because he was a physician also, retired recently. But anyway, he was the chairman of Balaji Temple in Aurora. So he was very busy, meeting after meeting, day after day, he would be busy. They came, they just told us that we are coming to South Bend the first day. They stayed here for 5 to 6 days. They didn't tell us that they are coming here just to let us know, to make sure that we have somebody of our own, apart from our children, in case something is needed for Vinod. I didn't realize either the first 2-3 days. And then I asked Manjula, I said, how come you guys are here? He says, oh, just Sam wanted to be around, so in case he can see Vinod. But once Vinod improved, the next day, they were back to Chicago, and I figured out. They never ever said what they did for us. They silently just were there for us. And the last thing is, of course, I cannot not mention wine. My exposure to finest qualities of wine and that sipping them, experiencing the beauty of it, only goes with Sam. By the way, Vinod is teetotaler, so he doesn't drink. He was the only company I had, and those moments were very precious. I just want to tell our Sammy that you soar, you fly high. May God bless you, and Om Namah Shivaya. All we did was they loved us and we loved them. Just love. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vinod. Sam is a family man. He has been. He loved his mother, father, sister, and he took care of every person. His mother is still alive. She's 94 in India, living by herself. But he has a cousin, Ramesh, that takes care of her, that lives close by. So Sam and Manjula used to go to India every 3 months. But because of his involvement in the temple, he didn't go visit them for 9 months. But he's so happy that his cousin Ramesh is taking care of his mother with daily updates. And a relative brought a message from Ramesh. Supraja, please come over and read the message. And it's so close to his heart because he says, he's just like me. He's taking care of my mother just like I would if I'm there.
Thank you for being here today to honor the memory of a truly remarkable man, Dr. Musunuru Venkata. Before I begin, I would like to share that I'm reading this message on behalf of my father-in-law, Mr. Tathneni Ramesh Garu, who holds his brother in the highest regard and has asked me to speak these words in his loving memory. Annaya, which means brother in Telugu language. Annaya was not just a brother to me. He was a mentor, a guide, and above all, a man I deeply admired. I loved him immensely for his simplicity, his affectionate nature, and his ever cheerful smile that could light up any room. I first met him in 1985 with my father, the late Tathneni Kondaya Garu. My father and Annaya spent hours discussing Indian politics and American politics. I noticed a spark of intellect and curiosity that defined him. Annaya gave generously not only from his wealth but also from his heart. He made significant financial contributions to the construction of canal bridges, school buildings, communities, women welfare associations, temples, and many more in India. His generosity left a lasting impact on his native village of Peddapulipaka, his school in Pattamata, and his community in Sitapuram Colony, Puranki, which is where his mother stays. These selfless efforts did not go unnoticed. In 2003, he was honored by a memento by the Honorable Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, and also honoring his father, Sri Chalapati Rao Garu, a proud moment for the entire family. When he visited India, he often toured temples, not only as a casual visitor, but with the curiosity of a learner. He studied the sculptures, spoke with artisans, and even brought some of them back to US to renovate the Aurora Sri Balaji temple. What touched us all was his humility. He treated everyone from scholars to staff with love, respect, and kindness. To me, Annaya was the definition of a complete man, simple, humble, cheerful, observant, and deeply committed to learning and giving. He was and always will be my ideal and my inspiration. Your loving brother, Ramesh.
Thank you, Supraja. We have another family member that came all the way from Australia. He's his sister's son, his nephew, and he's very much impressed with his hard work and how he made a person of himself in Australia. So, Uday.
Thank you, Ramraj uncle, and I would rather prefer to be known by nephew of Dr. Samsiral Garu. Mamaya, knowing how tirelessly you championed me and my sister throughout our lives, through thick and thin, truly touches my heart. Whether our parents are with us or not, your unwavering support has been constant and comforting presence in every aspect of journey. You always held the highest hopes for us, and you believe in us has been a powerful force. You embodied so many roles with such a grace and dedication: a devoted son, a caring brother, a loving husband, a wonderful father, a supportive cousin, a loyal friend, and a skilled physician. And above all, he is the world's best man mama. If there is any measurement that describes what's best man mama, he is Dr. Musunuru Samsero. And I would prefer to be known as a nephew of Dr. Musunuru rather than by name. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Musunuru's nephew. There is a saying in Gita that says, Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, which means if you do a deed without expecting a reward, you can do a lot of wonders. And that's what he believed in. He was a founder trustee of Sri Venkateswara Swami Balaji Temple in Aurora, close to Chicago, in 1983. And he became the chairman of the same organization for the last 6 years of his life. He dedicated every single minute of that 6 years at the temple. He thought about it, he slept with it, he ate with it, and he drank water with the thought of Balaji Temple. And his contributions are incomparable and unsurmountable. He was part of, during the COVID, soon after he became the chairman, the COVID hit. Temple was closed for 3 months in the history of the temple. And the volunteers were afraid to show up, priests were afraid to show up, but he would be there during the COVID, every single day, make sure the devotees are protected. And that was on the top of his mind every time, whenever he does anything. And he does a lot of research when he does work on the temple. So to address the people here, the chairman of the temple, current chairman of the temple, Sri Veluchami, Petanaidu Veluchami is here. And we have been trustees, including he drafted me to the temple. I wasn't that religious, neither is Sam. But he said, we have to do something for the organization, for the community, and we want to start a temple in Chicago. That's how we both got involved. And we're talking about 40 years ago, 1985. So Veluchami is also part of our 10 trustees, and we have shared wonderful, wonderful memories. And Samsara is known for his straightforward, forthright thinking and telling the way it is. No mincing words. Veluchami.
Thank you, Ramaraj Garu. I know Dr. Musunuru for the last 39 years. We wanted to start the Balaji temple. We were looking for partners to buy 72 acres. So he volunteered to be a partner. So we bought the 72 acres and donated 20 acres to the temple and kept the other 50 acres of land. Then we sold that other 50 acres to the temple. He was a trustee since the beginning. When Konuru started the expansion, he participated extensively. In 2003, when I started the expansion, I needed 7 trustees to support the expansion. He was one of the 7 trustees, and he attended every board meeting, driving all the way to South Bend. Then, of course, COVID came, and he became the chairman. The temple was not big enough to accommodate all the devotees. We wanted to do the expansion. Again, we have to go through majority member to approve. We went through the process. Again, 7 members approved the expansion. He resigned the job, I don't know, as an anesthesiology. he bought a condo in Sugar Grove and stayed there most of the time. But there is one thing, when you get one, you get another one free. Manjula Garu became involved in the temple and planting flowers and landscaping and all those things. And me, Koneru, Musunuru were involved in the expansion of the Balaji temple in 2023. Of course, later on, Naveen and Rajiv Naidu joined it. He had a lot of good ideas. I thought he's a doctor. No, he knows everything about the construction. Taking from the baseboard, usually you put it 2 inches, finish it off. He wanted a very beautiful baseboard. Then we had a carpet. He said, Velu, let's remove the carpet, get the credit from the contractor. And we did both floors, I think granite or something closer to that one. We wanted a Homagundam, we are Saiva and Vaisnava. He visited Indianapolis, Springfield, and so many other temples, and we came up with the best Homagundam in our temple. Now, we wanted him to continue as the chairman, but his health was not good. He refused to continue as the chairman. But he did everything. We did everything as the expansion team, finished the building on time with the budget we approved, and we celebrated the Mahakumbhabhishekam. We had 10,000 people, 15,000 people visited on September 15. He was doing good until then. All of a sudden, he has some breathing problem. Until then, he worked so hard. And I really feel so sorry for him to go like this. I visited him with my family 2 weeks ago. We started talking about still temple. 1 hour we were here. He was talking about the temple. And he said, we are doing a multi-purpose building, Velu, we got to put the tile. So immediately he called the tile guy and ordered 12,000 square feet tile, and I had to pay for that one. So he has still that much interest until the last minute, last breath, And, I really miss him. And we had a first construction meeting. He participated by phone. We had the trustee meeting last month. He participated by phone. He never missed anything. So he really did a wonderful job, and Balaji family is going to miss him very much. Manjula Garu, your family, we really going to miss a good person. He did a wonderful job to the temple. We'll never forget him. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Velu. During one of those meetings, the Zoom meeting he participated in, I just finished telling the board how sick he was, how much difficulty he was having to breathe, and he wanted to be on the Zoom meeting. So he was on the Zoom meeting talking at the top of his voice for a whole half an hour. These guys were looking at me, what are you talking about? He just told us he was sick. But that's how passionate he was about the temple. His memory is phenomenal. And he can tell you things that happened 6 years ago on June 11th at 11:30 a.m. He would immediately tell you exactly what happened that day. So he was such a meticulous memory. There's a saying that says, Naipunyat Vijayo Dhruvam. If you have the skill, you're going to succeed. And that's him. And he just doesn't think about it, he does research. And like he said, we went to several temples, checking the granite, checking different types of stones and all that. And he would pull somebody, the volunteer there, and said, did you have any problems with this? Only then he makes up his mind. Once he makes up his mind, watch out. Nobody can change it. So that's how passionate he was. And he loved all the hardworking volunteers, the staff, and people who worked hard for the temple. And one of those persons is Mr. Venkat Atluri. Please, he is the partner at McKinsey firm in Chicago, everybody knows. And he is very close to Dr. Musunuru, even though he didn't know him before during these last 6 years. And he grew to develop a lot of respect for him. Venkat.
Thank you, Ramraj uncle. I've been privileged and honored to have Samsharao uncle as a friend and leader in the community. I'm thankful for this opportunity to share a few thoughts about Samsharao uncle. I've had distinct pleasure of knowing him, spending some quality time with him over the last 6 or 7 years. I was reflecting on what do I remember about Samsharao uncle? And it reminded me that most of my interactions with him were him sharing his life stories with me. Oftentimes with a lot of levity, a lot of joy, a lot of pride. Occasionally with a little bit of frustration, only occasionally. Boy, I really cherish these moments where he would just share his life stories with me. So I was thinking back and said, okay, how do I remember? What do I describe? What my experience is like spending time with him. So I came up with 4 words I picked I thought would be fitting to at least maybe spend a couple of minutes on, if you allow me. First word is humble. Man, uncle is so humble. As talented as he is, one of the things that I was struck by is how humble he is. He's proud, he's humble about his beginnings, he's humble about the fact that he comes from a family of farmers from South India. I was just so blown away. I'm going to tell you one big story. When we had our Mahakumbhabhishek, not the one that we had last year, but about, 2003, I guess it was? So we had our track, volunteer team, and the security all set up, and I think, you were the chairman back then, if I'm not mistaken. So Samsharao uncle, in his casual way, drove his family from South Bend to get to the temple. They got to the temple, and despite the fact that he was the chairman and the founder of the temple, they wouldn't let him in. You guys remember the story?
Yes.
And they wouldn't let him in. And Swapna, you were sitting in the back seat of the car. And then Samsharao uncle has to call Velu uncle, true story, Velu uncle, right? Where are you? And then you have to let him pull some strings and let him in. And he was proudly tell this story, not to be angry, but to make fun of himself. Swapna, he tells this story. You're sitting in the back seat of the car and you say, Dad, I thought you were one of the trustees. And he would say, my girl, she is a woman of few words. That's all she said. Nothing more, nothing less. True story, right? What a man, what a man. So that was my first word. Second word, dedication. His dedication is something that we all, most people in the room, are benefiting from. Last 6 years, he gave up everything. He came to live in the temple, and the dedication with which he developed the temple, expanded the temple, man, that was admirable, truly admirable. Well, I got to tell another quick story about this. So I used to go to temple and then see him in the boardroom, and I said, Uncle, how are you doing? He'll say, Venkat, in my golden years, I could have gone to a tropical place with tranquility and peace, sipping on some Mai Tais, or maybe take some exotic cocktails, or sip some wine. But no. I chose to bring manju and serve God. You know what, Venkat? I'm going to get a lot of punyam. You know what punyam is in Telugu? A lot of good karma. A lot of good karma he does get. So what a great man. What a great man. That was my second word, dedication. My third word I chose was conviction. Uncle has such a strong conviction to build things. I could count numerous times he would come to us and say, guys, we have to build things. We have to build infrastructure that not just stays for one generation, for multiple generations. not only for multiple generations, serves the broader community. And true to his words, I gotta tell you another story. Boy, he loved construction. And he loved all things wood. And he would tell us he loves oak, right? He really loves cherry and oak. So I have a cousin, just to give you a sense for how deeply involved he is in construction. I have a cousin that lives in Miami. He loves our temple. Whenever he visits Chicago, he comes, visits the temple. One of the weekdays he came and he visited the temple. I called him up and said, I wasn't around. I called him up and said, hey, you should really go say hi to Uncle. And then he went upstairs and he was standing there looking around. He said, there's nowhere to be found. He called me up and he said, hey, Uncle is nowhere to be found. But there was a man on a ladder with half of his body inside the ceiling. And then I said, dude, there is close to 100% chance that would be Uncle. And I said, go tap on his legs and see if this is Uncle. And lo and behold, he tapped on his legs, and then Uncle came down the ladder, gave him a big hug, very proudly gave him a grand tour of the temple. Grand tour of the temple. And whenever I catch up with my cousin, he'll ask me, how is Uncle doing? It also reminds me that, hey, you guys are so lucky to have him. That was my third word, his conviction. My last word, I gotta go back to my notes here. He's a man of a lot of courage for doing the right thing, courage to speak the truth, courage to be direct, even when sometimes that meant other people not liking it. Never sought limelight. You may disagree with him, but you can never disagree with his pure motivations and his passion and his deep-rooted passion, and never looking for any glory. Uncle, you are a true embodiment of a servant leader, and you found the temple, and you left the temple a much better place than you found it. Lastly, Uncle, you served us with humility, dedication, and affection, with clear and pure motivations. Your conviction to build things is courageous, and your love for your family, all things construction, is admirable. You're a courageous man, a true role model. You left us a great void. We miss you. I'm so glad that I can call you a friend, uncle, a mentor. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Venkat. Appreciate that. He didn't like meetings. He used to think that's a waste of time. He said we should be doing something while we're sitting and spending an hour. He used to say, meetings are where we waste hours and keep minutes, which was true. So while he was the chairman, he picked a person to lead the executive committee so he can run the meetings. And he would pick a professor, a provost at a university of Chicago, State University of Chicago. He would run the meetings precisely. Nobody can talk outside of the agenda. They have to finish their speech within a certain limit of time. Prasad Putluri. And he would give a free hand. It's not like that he would control all these people, what they're doing. He tremendously respected the volunteers. He always said they work very hard. They do with good heart to serve the temple and Lord and the devotees that come to the temple. Prasad?
When Dr. Elaworth asked me in the morning, you need to speak something, I wasn't prepared. I thought, what I'm going to do, and he's going to ask me suddenly. Then the next minute, I thought, why I'm worried? I'm going to talk about a person, the rarest person on the earth, as rare as a blue jaguar diamond among the diamonds. Those of you probably who know diamonds who know blue jaguars are not the easiest ones. Our Kohinoor diamond, probably some of you are very well familiar with. I knew Dr. Musunuru for last probably 20 years, but last 6 years since the construction of the temple when he became the chair, we became close and we worked very together for a long time. And as Dr. Elaworth mentioned, I started reorganizing the meetings and then make sure whatever Dr. Musunuru had in mind or not had in mind, or just bring it forward to him so he can do the job. So we reorganized all those meetings. And then as you all heard about him, what a rare person he is, and as Swapna was saying, he only planted trees. No, he planted trees, a lot of those trees in the temple. All of you probably are familiar with. And those trees are so big now. When those trees, the breeze blows from the wind, from those trees, hits the walls of the temple, every brick on that wall, every corner of that temple has Dr. Musunuru's name on it. So the breeze reverts back, and then you hear the sound of Dr. Musunuru's name anytime you go to the temple. That much dedicated he was, and every brick on the temple, every leaf on those trees actually speaks about the name of Dr. Musunuru. And you also heard about his giving back to the community and volunteerism. So we have our number of volunteers have grown. I think we have close to 350, 400 volunteers right now, and the 200 waiting list. However, and those of us who used to think, oh, we are doing the volunteer work, we didn't really know what volunteer work was until Dr. Musunuru came and started spending time and teaching us what it means to giving back to the community. So all our volunteers, all our committee members, they all started working even harder than before. When they were just coming and doing some work and saying, oh, I am volunteering. No, after Dr. Musunuru started working in the temple, and they see him working, as you heard, in the roof or in the walls or wherever, then they realize what we were doing was not really nothing compared to what he was doing. So we need to speed up our work, and that's what they were doing. So the temple has benefited. Personally, for me, working with him, he has one of the best qualities of a leader, not micromanaging stuff. He trusted people. When he asked the committee chairs to do some work, he gave them the freedom. So those of us who know a little bit about leadership, that is the best quality any leader can have. Not micromanage stuff. Trust the people until such time, as they say, 3 strikes or whatever, then you step in, not before. So he gave the freedom. And then when somebody gets so much freedom, then you have more obligation to do a lot more work. That's how our committee chairs and committee volunteers started feeling. And they started dedicating their own time to do this. And all of it because of a rare gem person like a blue jaguar diamond.
Thank you, Mr. We're almost done. Thank you. I thank all the speakers that came forward today. There were many more people who wanted to speak, but because of the paucity of time, we have to be pardoned for not allowing you to speak today. My final comments. Samsara is Karana Janmudu. That means a man born with a purpose. He is a man of utmost honesty, impeccable integrity, unconditional loyalty, and downright unpretentious. He's like a boy that just came out of a village. Simple mind, very straightforward, and thinking of doing some good. And we thank all of you for coming and sharing this afternoon with us, to share your thoughts and memories about Sambaseva and the family, coming from far and near. We have people coming from Chicago, Florida, Texas, Colorado, California, and even Australia, to celebrate Sam's remarkable journey of life. Those we hold closest to our hearts never truly leave us. They live on in the kindness they have shared and the love they brought into our lives. Please remember Sam for all the good things that you have known about him, and for the love he shared with you, and for the goodness that he shared with the world. Thank you all once again. Now we have a brief ceremony with our priest from the temple, Sri Kalyan Sundaram Garu. We have 14 priests in the temple, and they love him to death. And if he says something, it's like Vedam. That's the dictum. So they would appreciate everything he would tell them, and he would constantly think about their welfare. So we want to say a word while they're setting it up. Sri Kalyan Sundaram Garu is one of the senior most priests in our temple, 27 years?
No, 33.
33 years. 33 years, we stopped counting. 33 years. Sir, Sri Kalyan.
Thank you very much. Our temple board of trustees and last chairman, Dr. Musunuru Garu. But he did very auspicious year last year, September, the inauguration new building that called Mahakumbhabhishekam. He put his dedication completely 5 years. He want to choose anything, small things. He go directly, he visit that place, he buy, he order. Last 5 years, he is a chairman. I think for my personally, I'm not feel he is the chairman, I'm an employee. Always, he sometimes he joke, sometimes he serious, and very dedicated to did his completely the 5 years chairman period and build a new temple, but lot of facilities for public. In our Hindu religion says, they passed before die, they do something for good thing that called punya karyam. So directly they goes to heaven. That's our Hindu Shastram is saying. But unfortunately, we lost Mr. Dr. Musunuru, and we want to pray for him and his family also, Manjula Garu also. All the trees, all the in the temple crying because she come and put the water. Mr. Dr. Musunuru Garu never called her what she do in the outside temple beauty. That's a very great couple, did very dedicated for our temple last 5 years. But today, me and other priest came for last month, give some prayer. But his last wish is not happen. Want to come to the temple, do the darshanam. Pray God for last at least one time. It's not happened, but we showed through video call. But today, I came for his last rite. I'm praying for him, want to heaven and peace for their family also. Want to give strength through God. Thanks.
Dear friends, the religious ceremony that's going on now will be about half an hour long, and those who are interested may stay, and mainly the family will participate in the puja. After that, the crematorium is situated about 20 miles west of here in Laporte. So those who are interested can participate in that procession going to the crematorium. And that probably will start around 4:15, 4:30. Thank you all once again very much. We appreciate your thoughts and prayers.
शरीरसिद्ध्यर्थं सत्युपुण्याहवाचनं कर्तुं योध्यता सिद्धिं अद्वितीय अनुग्रहाणां सिद्धिरस्तु ॐ मे वृणश्रुतिः अध्याजपया त्वां शास्त्रेजमानः
ध्यायामि वरुणमावाहयामि वरुणश्चैदमासनं वरुणायन्मः आधारविन्दयोः आदित्यमूर्तये नमः यथाशक्ति ॐ प्राणाय स्वाहा